building soldiers into better warriors, to never accept defeat, to never quit.
Here we go!
Welcome to Close Combat. I'm Sergeant First Class Randy Randolph. Coming up, we'll have all the middleweight action in the Army Championship Combatives tournament. But first, a look at why this program exists. I'm in a Combatives gym, one of hundreds Army-wide, where soldiers have revolutionized the way they train. Here's a look at Modern Army Combatives.
We teach boxing, kickboxing, judo, wrestling, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu all in one system in a matter of 4 weeks. Give them drills that they're able to continue training after they leave here and pass that on to their soldiers.
So as they're learning to choke people, do takedowns, whatnot, they're also learning how it plays out with a rifle, or how it plays out with a knife or the pistol on you. Or how do you know if the opponent is armed? Because imagine, you get in a fight with somebody, how do you know if they have a pocket knife on them? Well, you don't. So that means you have to fight everybody as if they might.
The situations that I did come in contact, I didn't have the combative training, and I struggled a lot more to control those people because I didn't know the techniques that I've learned in level 1 and 2 so far that really show you how to control somebody. You know, they can do the 2-on-1 drill where you got a 2-man take down a person and, you know, and then eliminate the threat from that person, which is, I think, one of the best techniques that I've learned so far for a combat scenario.
We want them to break through them barriers so they can find the confidence in themselves, you know, that warrior ethos, you know, the defining characteristic of a warrior is the willingness to close with the enemy, and that's the big thing about combatives is, you know, the same thing it takes to get into a fight and to fight someone is the same kind of stuff that it takes to engage the enemy on the battlefield.
You're in a firefight, you go black, you have no ammo left, you know, and the enemy's right there on you. You end up having hand-to-hand, or you're clearing rooms, you know, tight-knit quarters. Depending on your rules of engagement, you know, you're not able to fire your weapons, so you've got your enemy combatant right there on you. You got to take them down hand to hand.
Because everybody has to be ready to fight. Everybody's a soldier first, regardless of MOS or duty position. Your first priority is a soldier, and you never know when you're going to need that.
When you take it down to the soldier level, they have to be confident that they can handle themselves. In all situations, we want them generally to step forward and say, I'm here to help.
Every soldier is going to be in a situation where they're going to be in or around an enemy or in enemy territory. Regardless of what your job is in Iraq or Afghanistan, you're in enemy territory. So you need to be prepared for that.
Soldiers train in basic and tactical combatives at the unit level. Their instructors are certified at Fort Benning's Combative School. We caught up with some of the instructors in training in the early weeks of the course.
The course has been pretty physically tough. I mean, it's only Thursday right now, and I'm pretty beat up. Got knots all on my back and popping ibuprofen at night and stuff, but it's really worth it.
It builds up your confidence. You know, some of the drills that we do, you know, you'll take a punch to the face, you know, let you know that you can fight through it. So.
I would say there's a lot of team building, especially in the class. I mean, especially you get to talk to people from different MOSs and learn why they want to do combatives, and you just kind of get into it.
You know, this is kind of one of those fun, esprit de corps building, you know, physically demanding kind of courses that will keep kids coming back.
But right now, AFN Europe doesn't have a program, so I want to get something together so I can train all the soldiers, sailors, and airmen that we have. You know, we have something like 50 people that can benefit from this training.
I had privates that would show up, and they've never been in a fight in their life. They're 135 pounds of, you know, timidness. So, you know, I want to do my part to try to prepare them to go into a hostile combat environment.
But for the most part, it's definitely very good for a soldier, airman, or anybody like that to know how to defend themselves. Because if they're alone, if their ammo runs out, there's lots of different scenarios where they would need to know how to defend themselves.
What doesn't kill me only will make me stronger in my head.
It actually raised my confidence a lot because I was intimidated by a lot of the guys, especially this class. I'm the only female, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a tough month. It's just not a lot of females do combatives, and then just getting used to throwing around guys, and it's more like showing the guys that females can do combatives also.
Later in the show, we'll check back with the student instructors to see how they did at the end of the course. Coming up, a closer look at the dangers and potential injuries associated with combatives. Plus,
we'll have all the middleweight action from the Army Combatives Championship. I'm Van Stokes, here with Matt Larson, Director of the Army Combatives Program. Matt, you were ringside at the annual Army Combatives Championship in Fort Benning, Georgia. Tell us about the rules that are in effect for this competition.
Well, Van, there'll be 3 5-minute rounds. They'll be allowed to throw closed fist strikes to the head, knees to the body, but not to the head, but they can kick to the head. Very similar to mixed martial arts rules, but a little bit more protective. And a major difference you'll see is they'll be wearing their uniform bottoms. It's not very unusual that a soldier would get in a fight on the battlefield wearing shorts. So we have to be thinking about what the real goal here is, and that's preparation for the battlefield.
Matt, thanks for enlightening our viewers. Let's meet the fighters in the first middleweight match. Neil Magny and Travis Anderson competed for the bronze medal in this consolation fight. Here's what they had to say right before the match.
Well, I mean, there's no better preparation for combat than getting hit in the face. If you can hit in the face, you can pretty much do anything. So it's an awesome experience, and it's a good skill.
Mine were pretty good. Yesterday, I won all my fights either through submission or points. I basically controlled my battle boys or my opponent at the time, just controlled them the whole way. Just using techniques that I've learned over the past few years and just felt pretty confident the whole time.
I do not know my opponent. I just know that he's a little bit taller than I am. So I'm going to go in, try to use my wrestling background, try to take him down, use my ground and pound skills, and win the fight from there.
I'm not here to hurt anybody. It's all about just getting combatives out there and showing everybody else that it's actually a good technique to use both on the battlefield and outside the battlefield. It's not just about going out there and hurting your opponent.
So Anderson feels he could get hit in the face, and Magny feels he could and perhaps should control this bout. Is that a good mindset, do you think, Matt?
It is. You know, Magny made a good point about these being his battle buddies as well as his opponents. You know, remember, they're both soldiers, and they might have to go to war together tomorrow.
And both of them are looking forward to it, as you could see in their faces.
It looks like it's going to be fun.
Well, let's get to the action in this middleweight bronze match. Neil Magny in the red belt representing the Illinois National Guard. Very quick with the striking as he gets distance, separates, and then comes back and attacks Travis Anderson again. Travis Anderson from the Maneuver Center of Excellence by way of West Point.
Well, Anderson looks like he really wants that takedown, but Magny seems to have good enough hips to hold him off so far.
Now, you have worked with Magny in the past. Talk about his strengths.
Well, Magny's from the Illinois National Guard, and that team is pretty solid. You know, a lot of these National Guard teams come in here, and they've got lots of skillful guys. It's a testament to the sort of people who are joining the Guard these days, that they can come in and compete with the active duty soldiers.
Well, Magny right now using one of his strengths, and that's his ability to control matches, as you heard him talk about before this competition got underway. As now he's seeking to control the upper body, if you will, of Travis Anderson. They work their way into the neutral corner, and Magny ready to deliver some striking blows to the head.
And Magny's doing a good job of controlling that far side arm so that Anderson is unable to escape from that position. He really needs to get his right arm back behind Magny, start to work his way to the back.
Now, we have talked in the past about combatants coming out of places like Fort Hood and Fort Bragg and Fort Campbell, where you have to be the best in your installation. There is a good throwdown by Magny, and he has got Travis Anderson in a tough spot right now. But my question to you is plain and simple. How does someone like Magny become so good and so strong when they don't come from a big installation like Fort Bragg or Fort Hood?
Well, a lot of these guys in their National Guard units, they key off of, it looks like he's working for that bent arm lock there. A lot of these guys from the National Guard units, they key off the civilian martial arts culture in their areas. And you can see a lot of the coaches coming from these teams are local, mixed martial arts coaches. And that's one of the things we've done in the Army is tap into the expertise that's in America. There's lots of people around who understand a lot about fighting. We just have to put it in perspective of the battlefield. He's looking like he's in a bad way here.
Oh, he is. Magny has got him where he wants him. Repeated blows to the head, striking blows. Anderson moves over to the edge of the mat. And Magny relentless on those blows to the head. Blocking slightly by the hand is Travis Anderson. But is he blocking enough? We'll have to see. Those are aggregate number of blows. How damaging are they, Matt?
I'll tell you what, it seems like he's really doing some damage. That position is very bad. I don't know how Anderson's going to get out of it. And now Magny's working on an arm triangle.
Dominating performance right now by Neil Magny. And that's what the judges are looking for. 3 judges. Oh, he's in a tough position now. Repeated blows by both hands.
We have a very good referee there, Brandon Sales. He's a 3-time Army champion. He's been in that ring a lot and knows just what to do. So I think we'll probably see him go to the center before too long.
And I see it. It looks like perhaps an open cut on the top of the head of Travis Anderson as he continues to get pounded on in the corner.
Well, so far this round, Magny is really having his way. He's landing a lot of punches, dominating positionally.
The name is domination. It's not just control. He has dominated his opponent, and that's what the judges are looking for when they score this on a 10-point must system.
Exactly right. Now, when it goes to the judges, you never can tell what's going to happen. We tell the fighters, look, if you don't knock the guy out, oh, and it's reversed now.
Wow.
We say if you don't knock the guy out or submit him, and you left it to somebody's opinion who won. You don't want to do that.
And at that point, it becomes a little bit subjective. But they are objectively looking for dominating type blows.
One advantage we have in the Army system is that, the judges are products of our education system. So we teach them how to fight, teach them how to coach, and then teach them how to judge, referee. All those things are part of the Combatives program.
So Anderson rebounds under 20 seconds remaining in the first round of this 3-round bronze medal match in the middleweight division. And now he's neutralized Magny. There's the pounding of the mat, less than 10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, Magny doing a good job with those legs, holding Anderson off.
And they both know where they are in the ring and on the clock. So the first period comes to an end. Credit Travis Anderson. He took a big pounding, but towards the latter part, he managed to get away, escape, if you will, from Neil Magny.
Yeah, I don't think Anderson did enough to take the round. He did come out on top there at the very end, but Magny did a lot of damage when he had his arms pinned and was raining those blows on his face. Good submission attempts.
There you get a good look at Neil Magny. He gets a little bit of liquid replenishment.
A lot of those soldiers from the Illinois National Guard, their actual job is to be drill instructors. So on their summer rotations, they come out to the main posts like Fort Jackson and Fort Benning, and then teach these skills to our young soldiers.
Now you saw the mouthpiece going back into the mouth of Neil Magny. That's a safety device, form-fitted mouthpiece. The gloves that they use, Matt, 4-ounce gloves?
They're 6-ounce gloves, and those gloves are actually there mostly to keep them from hurting their hand. That's the one thing people don't sometimes understand is what the protective equipment is for. For example, in boxing, you see some people wearing headgear. Well, the headgear only protects against cuts and broken noses. It doesn't protect at all against brain trauma.
Travis Anderson, a little bit of fakery up top as he looked like he was going to land a blow. Got Magny to flinch, and he goes in for the tie-up, tries to get the full body takedown, but he couldn't get that to happen. So both combatants into the ropes now.
Magny did a good job of turning that around, so now he's on the outside, trying to get those knees into the quad.
If you were coaching Travis Anderson right now, what would your coaching advice be?
Well, what I would say is drive towards your underhook. You can see with his left arm there, he keeps getting into the underhook underneath Magny's arm. He really needed to push that. Looks like that takedown attempt from Magny didn't work out for him.
No, it didn't. In fact, Anderson countered it nicely.
You can see from this angle, Magny needs to scoot his hips out this direction. If he can scoot his hips, he'll be working towards Anderson's back.
And there you see him moving slightly.
If he can pull his head out from that headlock, he'll be behind Anderson in a very advantageous position.
But if Anderson's smart, he's not going to allow him to pull that head out right now. But can't hold on to it that long. He comes out. Call it a reversal if you want. But he comes back to an advantageous position. Now that, plain and simply, is experience, Magny knowing where he was and what he needed to do to escape.
That's right, and a lot of the experience, you see that Anderson had quite a bit of wrestling background. A lot of the experience from other ways of learning to fight are good for you, but they also give you some bad habits. You know, you could see there that headlock technique is very common in wrestling. Maybe not the best thing to do in a real fight.
Well, Magny talked before the bout about his ability to get his opponent to submit. And he likes to strike. I mean, throughout the first period, he strikes with the knee, strikes with the hand. He'll deliver blows to the body with the knee or the hand to the head.
He's been dominating this fight mostly positionally throughout, with a little bit of exception there whenever he got mounted a second ago, or almost mounted a second ago. But even that was on his initiative. You can see he does a real good job of keeping that wrist control, making sure he's the one throwing the punches.
Well, they're on their feet and they get tangled up in the ropes. So they come back to the center of the ring in the standing position. They set up as boxers, but you get the feel that you're going to see a takedown perhaps. Although Magny likes to deliver the blows, presses Anderson over against the ropes and then comes back to the center of the ring. So let's see if the boxing skills will come into play here. Oh, a little kickboxing.
Yeah, well, Magny knows that Anderson's wanting that takedown, and also knowing how to keep him at bay.
Magny's showing a lot of skills as a stand-up fighter as well as on the mat in a grappling format. Now he's pressed over against the ropes.
And they both have very good takedown skills here and ability to defend. So you're seeing a fairly technical fight at all the ranges.
A lot of tie-ups. And Magny says, you know, I'd rather get some distance here and come back to the center and strike him if I can. And Travis Anderson says, I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to the leg.
Yeah, Magny's got solid hips. He can keep him out. He's been keeping him out pretty handily.
But Magny, as we just said, I think, Matt, is just as adept on the mat as he is on his feet. Displays good skills.
You can see he's tying that arm up again like he did in the first round.
Neil Magny of the Illinois National Guard. competing for the bronze medal middleweight division. We move down to the 30-second mark remaining in this, the second round.
He's doing a very good job of using his hips to take those arms out of the fight. Very good technique.
Magny, he is relentless, though, in delivering those blows.
Back on their feet, Anderson in an advantageous position.
Less than 10 seconds remaining. They hear that pounding of the mat, and they just basically are content to tie up and nurse out those final seconds of the round. So round number 2 comes to a close. How do you see it thus far?
Well, I would say that Magny has won both of the previous rounds, and I don't think there's any doubt on that. Anderson has continued to be aggressive, trying to do it, but let's see what his coach has to say.
Yeah, let's see if you can listen to his coach.
I think he's just bucking him up to be more aggressive in there, keep in the fight.
And he knows right now that he's probably on the backside of each of the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
He probably wants to say, Travis, you're going to have to put him away. But that might be a tall challenge.
Well, Anderson's smiling in the corner there. Looks like he's still in the fight. No, you know, it's been a long 3 days, and here he is with 1 round to go. And he's ready.
Reminds me of that that tough opponent. I want to say that Bantam Rooster that just basically comes out and stands up straight. He's ready to go. Moving quickly now is Travis Anderson.
And like we were talking about earlier, you know, it's a testament to these guys' tenacity. You know, the real fight on the battlefield doesn't happen after you come out of the locker room and you're like, oh, put me in, coach. It really happens after you just walk 25 miles and you've been out there with little food and you're tired and you fight your way to the objective, and then you have the hand-to-hand fight. So,
well, let's talk about the flip side of that if we can, Matt. What about the one that's on the receiving end? You've got to learn to take a pounding. You've got to learn to handle the pressure, and then you have to learn to keep going, such as Travis Anderson right now gets that reversal.
Yeah, it was nice, and now he's on top. We'll see if he can do some damage from there.
I mean, some days you're going to be able to hand it out, and other days you're going to have to be able to take it. But regardless, on day number 3, you've got to keep going because that's what happens in battle.
You know, they say that the one quality that really matters in life is perseverance, and you can see that right there. Anderson on top after all this time. Now's his chance.
So they're going to bring him back to the center of the mat. Now, that's not to say that you don't have to have talent, but talent with perseverance ultimately will be the mark of a champion.
Yeah, I know it's been said it's not the will to win that counts, because once you get in the arena, everybody wants to win. It's the will to prepare to win, because the preparation is what takes you through 3 days of fighting and gets you into the 3rd round in this fight.
Without the will to prepare, that battlefield can be a tough place. So training, under the guise of which this competition is being conducted, is of paramount importance. Travis Anderson
and
trying to make good, but that's a nice roll through by Neil Magny. As they come to the standing position and then find their way into the ropes. Now he's got that front headlock right now on Magny. And Magny can't do much from there.
Well, I think actually Anderson's making a mistake holding on to that head. He probably should bring that left arm out. Now you see him down. The choke is nothing whenever you don't have position. And Magny is in the dominant position.
And Magny knew probably against the ropes he could not do much, so he kind of needed to bring Anderson back to the center, which he just did, and threw him to the mat.
Anderson, powerful, powerful hips, able to roll back over.
And he's using those hips and that power to his advantage. In other words, Magny's having a difficult time putting away Anderson.
And he's got one arm in and one arm out, which is a bad position. You can see Magny working towards that triangle choke, trying to pull his left leg up around there and get control of the neck. And it's sinking deeper and deeper.
Explain that triangle choke.
Oh, and that's it.
Oh, that's it. That is it. He sunk it. He sunk it, and Anderson basically couldn't withstand beyond that point. So Neil Magny gets the submission on that.
Yeah, that triangle is a dangerous choke. When somebody's...
The winner by tap out to the triangle, wearing the red belt, representing Illinois Army National Guard, Neil Magny.
Very good performance from Magny. He dominated pretty much the whole fight.
So Neil Magny wins the bronze medal in the middleweight division as a result of that triangle, which caused Travis Anderson to essentially tap out. Talk about that triangle. I mean, how tough is it to get it, to lock it in, and then what happens?
Well, it's a technique that guys with long legs like to use against stubby guys, so it's sneaky, and they get it in there real quick. And really what you have to do is pull the guy up onto your lap and change your posture. If you're all bent over like he was, it's very hard to resist.
So the opponent almost becomes defenseless in that triangle if it's sunk properly.
And if he's not necessarily doing the right thing, you have to be upright to be able to defend it.
Well, okay, upright was Neil Magny as he wins the bronze medal. Now, let's hear from our winner.
Good match. Can you tell me how you got the submission at the end there?
I just went ahead and threw my legs over for the triangle. I worked this hell of it, so he couldn't think about the choke. Each time we sticked it in, inch by inch, I finally was able to pull it off.
All right, do you have any shout-outs for anybody out there?
No, I just want to thank the Ghost Horse for helping me get ready. I want to thank my Illinois, I guess right now it's rough. I was to say my command for supporting this program. I can go back to my unit and show my lower list that this technique actually works.
All right, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's hear it once again for third place in the middleweight division from Illinois Army National Guard, Neil Magny.
So Magny can go back to his unit, show the technique properly worked, becomes a bit of a mentor when he returns back to his unit.
And that's what this tournament's all about. These soldiers get to go back and take the skills and experience they learned here and improve the rest of the soldiers in their unit's ability as well.
Well, they parlay it and help build the strengths and skills of other soldiers. Coming up later in the show, we'll be back with all the action from the gold medal fight in the middleweight division. Stick around for more Close Combat.
Welcome back to Close Combat. Some of the fighting you'll see in this series is graphic and bloody. But believe it or not, serious injuries are rare in combatives. Ask most fighters and they'll tell you their pride gets hurt more than anything else.
We're all soldiers here, so we're all looking to take care of each other. There's going to be injuries in fight training, but the injuries are very, they're minimal. They're, you're going to have guys that bruise their feet or twist their ankle. The same kind of injuries that you might get from like running or whatever, or playing soccer.
Some injuries in this type of training, most of it is, getting your feelings hurt from getting punched in the face. We don't want to come out here and hurt soldiers. We want to train soldiers, We need live, realistic training, but we also need safe training. We got, let's say we got a classroom of 30 guys out here, but, 20 guys will make it through the course because they're hurt. Well, that defeats the purpose.
Combative school, we almost have nobody not graduate because they're injured. Because we have an experienced cadre who know where the risks lie and can mitigate them. And so we can train hard and realistic and yet safe because it's all about maturity and having a grown-up, knowledge of what it means to train hard.
And what kind of injuries did you see?
We mainly saw musculoskeletal injuries such as shoulder, elbow, and knee injuries, and we saw one hand fracture.
This training is safer than a high school football team's trainer by a factor of 10 probably. It's safe, and it's hard and realistic. And you're going to get bruises when you're hitting each other, so don't expect it to be pain-free. But injury-free and pain-free are two entirely different things. And we can train with pain as a factor of training in the same way that it is on a long road march. That hurts. but hopefully it didn't injure you if it's done wisely. Same thing is true here.
Up next, we'll check back with the instructors in training to see how they did later in the course. Plus, more middleweight action in the Army Championship Combatives tournament. Earlier in the show, we met several soldiers going through the instructor's course at Fort Benning's Combatives School. We caught up with them in the final weeks of their training to see how they did.
I'm pretty beat up, but I mean, it comes with the territory.
Physically, doing pretty good. Got a couple bumps and bruises. Definitely starting to feel my age.
My body is aching quite a bit. I've gotten beat up pretty bad.
Physically tired, mentally a lot more proficient in all of my techniques that we were taught. It's a lot to learn, and taught us a lot more than I've thought at all. Like especially like the techniques and scenarios and situations that we're going to be caught in.
Well, there's always more that you're going to need to learn, whether it be different styles or new techniques. You can always get better. So that's kind of the mindset I have in that.
Well, I'm going to take back a lot of these techniques, and the whole purpose of Combatives Level 2 is that we can certify Level 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is put together a class and certify every soldier who is in my unit. And what I want to bring to them is how it can really affect the battle.
And learning how to throw a correct punch and throw a correct kick. It's passing that down to, your 19-year-old kid who hasn't been in a fight, who's been homeschooled his whole life and really sheltered from the world, and being able to pass that on to him and making him feel the confidence that I feel right now about going into a hostile situation, still being composed and coming out on top. So, I mean, that's something that I really want to pass on.
Once they're certified, the instructors will go back to their units and train soldiers in basic combatives. Up next, see the competition in action. We're back ringside for the middleweight championship match in the Army Combatives tournament, here on Close Combat.
I'm Van Stokes, back with Matt Larson. Now for the final fight in the middleweight division. Let's meet our competitors. Andrew Chappelle and John Anderson competed for the gold medal and championship title. Here's what they had to say heading into the ring.
Well, I'm going to feel the guy out. I know he's a really good wrestler. I'm not saying he can out-wrestle me because I got pretty good wrestling too. But that's his strong point. He's in really good shape too. So I'm going to try and stand up with him. If I see an opportunity to take it down, I'll do it. But I'm guessing strategically, I'll be better on my feet for sure. So I'll most likely start up, standing up, and trying to knock him out. But if I get an opportunity to submit him, I'm all about finishing the fight as soon as possible.
I'm going to go in. I'm a hard charger. I'm a real intense guy, and I'm going to bring that intensity in, and I'm going to push him to his limit and try to break him. And I feel comfortable on the feet striking. I'm going to obviously hand fight with him, wrestle him, take him down to a dominant position. And I know he has a good jiu-jitsu background, so I'm going to stay out of some of his strong areas, which is just, makes sense to me. So I'm going to stay out of there and stick to my strong areas and see how it goes. Do a lot of striking, a lot of rolling around, and have fun.
I do. I fight professionally. I've been fighting professionally for about 8 years now. I took a nice break because I've been in the Army for about 5 years. I'm in the Army Reserves now, so I fought pro before I was in the Army, and then a little bit while I was in, but not much. And then now that I'm out, I'm fighting professionally as well.
So Chappelle, 5 years of professional experience, but John Anderson, he wants to neutralize. What do you think is going through the mind of John Anderson now as he's getting ready to face Chappelle?
Well, I think in the crowd, Chappelle has been the favorite going into this. He's a professional fighter. He used to be a teacher at the Army Combatives School. But Anderson is a real gamer. And to become the Fort Benning Championship, he beat Troy Thomas, one of the toughest guys in the Army, and he handled him. So he's got a really good shot at this, and it's definitely going to be a war.
Do you think that this experience can actually maybe get in the mind of Chappelle and he might come in perhaps a little confident, maybe too confident?
Well, we'll see. Chappelle is a real veteran. He's been in the ring a lot before. He should have the answers.
Well, he'll have the questions, and he'll also have the answers, as we're going to see as we go to the action. Andrew Chappelle with the red belt on. John Anderson from the Maneuver Center of Excellence here at Fort Benning in the blue belt. And you heard Andrew Chappelle say that I want to knock him out and get to him. And then you heard Anderson say basically he wanted to neutralize those skills and strengths of Andrew Chappelle. And John Anderson comes out very aggressive.
He's coming out hard. He's really starting to put it to him.
It's almost as if Anderson's saying to himself, your professional background doesn't matter that much to me right now.
You can see Chappelle's the cagey veteran. He's got some good skills. I think Anderson is trying to drive the pace, maybe see if his fitness level is better. Chappelle's got good position here.
Chappelle stationed at Fort Sam Houston.
Nice takedown.
And he made that look easy. But that, again, that's the experience factor speaking.
He's a phenomenally skilled fighter, Chappelle. He's been famous around the Army for having his skills. Now, like I said earlier, Anderson, he's coming to win. He's not backing down.
Well, you look at the skills and you look at the experience, and you can just see the execution right now of Andrew Chappelle. I mean, technically, he's proficient right now. Would you say so, Matt?
That's right. He's got a solid half mount here. Very good. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well.
Wow. Anderson now reverses and comes to his feet. They're back up to the neutral position now.
Anderson got out of trouble there pretty handily, and he's coming at him. Look at those hard punches.
He got out of trouble, and now he wants to make some trouble of his own. The quick knee blows as they back away, get some distance between each other. And Anderson just keeps coming at Chappelle.
Same attempt he did earlier. You can see Chappelle's already got his mouth open. I think this pace is hard for him.
Wow, this is a true combatives match.
That was a good blow.
And I think you see some blood now on the shirt of Chappelle that has come from slightly above the eye of John Anderson. Both combatants tying up just a little bit.
Both very good wrestlers, too, so you can see the good hips there. He's nice knees. It's that interplay of techniques, that wrestling and judo mixed with Muay Thai, mixed with jiu-jitsu. That's really what combatives is about, is figuring out what works and how they work together.
You see a nice blend of all those. I think you used the word earlier, an integration of the techniques of boxing, of wrestling, of jiu-jitsu, martial arts. It all comes together in this competition.
That's right. You know, if you're a good wrestler but you don't have good striking skills, you won't be able to set up your takedowns. If you don't have good clinch fighting skills, you won't be the one who lands the knees or hits the takedowns.
And relentless is John Anderson as he attempts to just strike his way through this round up to the head of Andrew Chappelle. But the thing about Anderson is he'll strike and then he'll move in for a takedown.
Yeah, he's just being aggressive. I think his plan is probably keep pushing the pace, pushing the pace, pushing the pace.
Well, he's going to try to get out of this right now.
I'm not sure what Chappelle's working on. He's got one arm in and one arm out, but he's backwards from where he needs to be for the triangle.
Kind of a neutral position right there. But Anderson again trying to go to the body with the blows. 45 seconds remaining in the first round.
Anderson's keeping the weight down on his elbow there so he doesn't get stuck in that triangle.
But
Looks like Chappelle's working on an arm lock, some way to twist that arm out so that he can set the choke. You know, to get the triangle choke, he's got to extend his hips and get Anderson's left arm across his body. So from where it's at now, he's not going to be able to finish the choke.
And that triangle choke essentially cuts off the blood flow up around the neck, does it not?
That's right. The most effective choking techniques
under 10 seconds
are about getting the blood flow shut off to the head. And Anderson getting out.
Anderson delivers one more blow before this round comes to an end, and that's the end of the first round in this middleweight bout for the gold medal. A good look there at Andrew Chappelle.
He looks tired in that corner. Anderson's really pushing him. You can see Chappelle probably a little bit technically superior in that first round, but Anderson, a gamer, coming hard the whole time.
You can have a pretty good race car, but unless it's got the gas, it may not be there at the finish line. And you see a little bit right now, Chappelle just looking for that second win.
That's Keith Bach in Chappelle's corner there. He's a former Army champion as well. Very, very solid fighter.
What do you think he's telling him?
I think he's telling him to relax, get a hold of his win. He's got the skills to win. He's just got to make sure he's there.
And conversely, what do you think's going on over in the other corner?
I think if I was coaching Anderson, I'd tell him to keep coming.
Well, look at Anderson right now. He's got that laser-like focus on his opponent as they get ready to come to the center of the ring to start the second round. There they go. They tap the gloves, round number 2.
Yeah, Anderson looks eager, and here he comes.
Eager is a mild word, perhaps.
Showing he's got some kicks, too.
As he takes it right into Andrew Chappelle and then takes him to the mat.
Anderson gets the takedown. Chappelle working a triangle. Anderson doing a good job of keeping his hips set.
He wants to find a place to deliver those blows, but with the feet, Chappelle's kind of keeping him away. Now Anderson gets in a little bit closer. And again, there's no points awarded for a specific technique, i.e. on the takedown or i.e. on the reversal.
That's correct. You can really see the fatigue on Chappelle's face now. Anderson's pace is really getting to him. That's right, the judges are going to score based upon who was dominant, who lands the most blows, who's doing the most damage, gets the most takedowns.
And John Anderson seems to have been the aggressor since the opening bell. What do you think's going through the mind of Chappelle right now? He knows he is in spite of his 5 years of professional experience, he's in a really tough match right now.
Yeah, it makes you think he didn't take it seriously enough. Here he is in the championship bout, and maybe he should have been in better shape coming in.
We get to the 1 minute mark remaining, under 1 remaining. And that's the second round. And you know, when you get this activity, it goes by very quickly, Matt.
Nice blows there, exchanging good blows.
Oh, they go down, but come back to the knees and come back to the standing position. Little uppercut right there by Chappelle. And perhaps John Anderson a little bit overextended as he leans in.
I think he's just being aggressive.
Oh, and he delivers a blow.
Getting himself in a little bad position, but he's so aggressive, and he's really pushing the pace. I think he figures that's the way for him to win. And you can see Chappelle getting tired. He's got his mouth open.
And he's also got a little blood, it looks like, perhaps coming from the nose as he moves backward.
And he's really looking tired now. He's just taking those blows.
And in steps John Anderson. He knows it. He can smell it. He can read it on his opponent.
And down they go. Side control.
John Anderson showing not only skill and technique, but showing conditioning. Oh!
Almost had him in the arm lock there.
Almost had him in the arm lock. He slipped off, and Chappelle fortunately got out for himself.
And Chappelle falls back to the guard. You can tell he's tired. He should have been more aggressive there, trying to get on top. He's just running out of gas.
John Anderson now trying to get a good position from the top. Will deliver the blows to the body and then back to the head. And here he comes. He's mounted. The striking blows to the head. Chappelle needs to cover.
He's got both hooks in now. Solid back mount. Very dominant position.
Chappelle being pounded right now, taking a beating.
Chappelle's going to have to do something. That referee's looking to stop it, and there it is.
And he does. He stops it. John Anderson mounts Andrew Chappelle, delivers the striking blows to the head, and the referee moves in and stops that contest.
Wow. Wow.
And Chappelle still down on the canvas, gets up slowly. John Anderson goes over, gives him that congratulatory hug.
That was a good call from the referee. You can see the look on Chappelle's face that he had had enough. At that point, he was just covering up.
Good bout. Good bout in combatives. As combatives goes, that was packed with action.
Maneuver Center of Excellence, John Anderson.
This shows to show you the level of aggressiveness and the level of experience that these soldiers are getting now for this Captain Anderson to come in there and put it to this professional fighter.
So John Anderson gets the gold medal draped around his neck. He is the middleweight division champion. And Matt, this was a bit of an upset, was it not?
It was definitely an upset. Going into it, Chappelle, one of the most experienced and technically proficient fighters in the world, perhaps didn't realize the level this tournament has grown to.
What do you think John Anderson learned or had reinforced with him during this bout?
You know, if you remember back to his pre-fight interview, he did exactly what he said he was going to do. He's going to come in and put it to him hard and keep going and force the mistakes. And that's exactly what happened.
What do you think Chappelle learned?
I think Chappelle learned that this tournament is more than he thought it was.
It's more than some people think it is, that's for sure. Well, Matt, we've seen a lot of submission holds and a lot of tap-outs. Are these fighters taught lethal techniques in combative training?
Well, lethal techniques is kind of a misnomer. You know, the human body is very resilient and can take a lot of damage. And in the combatives program, not only do we teach the things you're seeing, but real fights happen with guns and knives and buddies who jump in. And so that's what we teach them. And so soldiers downrange, you know, probably 30–40% of the hand-to-hand combat that happens down there ends in gunshots. Soldiers have to be able to not only fight like this, but fight with all their kit, with their weapons, with their buddies, have a good strategy, integrate it into their mission plan. That's what we really teach in combatives.
So what we train here will carry over to the battlefield in the accomplishment of the mission. Well, congratulations to John Anderson for winning the gold medal in the middleweight division. For Matt Larson and our entire broadcast crew, I'm Van Stokes. We'll see you next time on Close Combat.
Here we go!